I'm just going to talk to you about my life and my learnings and therefore messages for anything that we take away. And we have big aspirations as a bank to be truly national and international in our presence and command the respect we deserve as an organization. And the whole journey in Federal Bank, me and the top team are obsessed about making a difference. So in this journey of trying to be who we want to be and also keep in pace or sometimes ahead of what's happening in the market, we're talking to many people, and one of the consultants who seems to understand not banking but understands mindsets of people, how to impact mindsets of people, how to influence shaping and thinking of people. As part of preparing for that, he started quizzing me, and I realized in a very subtle way he was actually probing me. And as he was probing me, I was trying to understand myself better. And today is really a reflection of that conversation which I had with him, because he kept asking me, saying that you say you are not yet successful, but why don't you reflect on, see, the 3, 4, 5 things that's worked for you that can be taken and given to your team, because if you are leading the pack, then you need to have that determination to make a difference. And so in the conversation, I started reflecting, and I formed my own sort of mental map on what I thought were working for me and what I thought I would share. Like about 900 million Indians, I'm also obsessed with cricket. In fact, I grew up almost like anybody else with vision of playing for India and being a cricketer, and quickly, unfortunately, after school, that dreams disappeared because I didn't get past schools. But the dream stayed on. And really, I want to focus on a few things this afternoon. One is the whole thing about what happened in the game was less relevant, but what I took away from that is whatever choice I make, I want to try and make an impact. I want to try and make something that impacts, hopefully favorably, in my economics ecosystem. Some of you may be aware of this movie in the early 80s, and this movie was released called Flashdance. It's about this very young girl who is a small town lady who her whole passion is to be a dancer and win the national dance competition. And if you look at passion, it automatically means there's something that you make a choice. Right? It's not that you can be passionate about everything, then you're diluting your energy, diluting your spirit. So there are choices we make in life. By the fact that we make choices, we are saying yes to something and no to something else. By the fact we are saying yes to something and no to something else, we have to put, at least in my belief, much more into that chosen area of yes. And very often, when there's a yes, there's a no, there's always a post-choice dissonance. When I started out, it was this dream to be an engineer. Thankfully, I got to be an engineer. And then from engineering, when most people in my time almost had a dream to go to the US. If I look at my class of engineers, I think 50% went off to the US. I think it's still the same, but at that time it was a craze in my engineering college. For some strange reason, I said that's not my chosen area. I wouldn't even apply to go to the US. I want to be here. I want to try and make a career out of some choices I make. I started out as an engineer in Lucas, like I said, but then quickly made a shift to, went to the IIM. And then I started out working in Wipro for a year, transferred to banking. But the whole thing was around the choice of what we want to do and try to make that choice work for us. And in the process, I've believed in that Singapore Airlines very famously has a line which says, "The journey is the destination." I don't know how many of you remember that byline of Singapore Airlines. This journey is the destination. And I want, like I said, the auto suggestion that should work for each of us. I want us, at least personally, I try to believe that once we've made a choice, not all choices are always right, but once we've chosen some path, if with passion and if you truly believe in that journey, it almost becomes fascinating. And you're almost living a dream that most often is quite rewarding at a personal level. And I think if I look around or if I talk to my colleagues or look normally at people who claim to have some degree of success, it's often around how you feel about yourself. It's about self-esteem. The bank balance is important, but I think it's beyond bank balance. It's about how we feel about ourselves. It's how we wake up in the morning wanting to do more of what we did yesterday and try to enjoy that journey. And many of you in the mid-90s, I think it was mid-90s, there was a very good movie that came out. It was an English movie called 50 First Dates. And this movie, 50 First Dates, is a light comedy which is all about this lady, Drew Barrymore. She suffers from amnesia. So she forgets what happens the previous day. Every morning, Adam Sandler has to come and woo her again. He has to express his love for her for that day, earn the love, go back, next morning comes and earns love. So the whole thing is about how you untiringly do the same thing and enjoy a great outcome. So I think the takeaway for me personally from 50 First Dates was how we make the boring more fun and how we truly enjoy the ride. And that was the takeaway from the 50 First Dates points that I was mentioning. There is also at the same time a very famous Albert Einstein quote, which I'll come to in a moment, which you've all probably heard or read. Doing the same things all over again and expecting a different result is operating definition of insanity. So this is Albert Einstein's quote. He says, doing the same thing all over again and expecting a different result. Let me just turn to another point. I spoke about passion. I spoke about choice, how we choose something. Everybody recognize the bumblebee? I don't know if you observed that the bumblebee actually flapped its wings and started flying. According to the laws of aerodynamics, the wingspan of the bumblebee is not wide enough. So physics says bumblebees cannot fly, but bumblebees fly. Bumblebees don't know physics. They don't know aerodynamics. They just flap their wings and they fly. In my life, and I'm sure in many of your life, there are many bumblebee moments. We've all thought we can't do it, and we've done it many times. And I'm sure if you look back on each of your lives, there would be many bumblebee moments in your lives or your near and dear ones, which probably expresses what the modest and unphysics-knowing bumblebee succeeds with. I think all of us, if we are obsessed about certain things, which is our passion, our belief, it will dictate our behavior. In 2004, November, I moved as the country head from Standard Chartered India to Standard Chartered Malaysia as part of a career progression. I took over the job from a very successful business manager. She was an icon, a lady business manager who had run the country with an iron hand for a fair number of years, very successfully. So I joined in October, November 2004, and she moved on within Standard Chartered to another job. I think in about 3-4 months, she got tired of being outside Malaysia, wanted to come back to Malaysia. When she joined a local bank, particularly in these foreign banks, the first thing leaders do is hire people whom they have worked with, because it's easy to succeed with people you know. So she, one day, and I mean it in all honesty, on one day, in I think June 2009, 7 of my general managers resigned on the same day. Came into my office. This picture is actually a Shyam looking bewildered, almost like a queue of people who are walking in to resign. So having been on the job for 5-6 months in the country, new country, I like in Kerala, I don't speak the language. Malay also I don't speak. New guy, Indian in Malaysia. Typically in a situation like that, and it is a tough situation because your business gets suddenly challenged, because if your top team is walking out on you, all leaders are as good as their teams. If your teams are not good, you're not a very effective leader. So the one choice we had on that day was to go out and look for new leaders, hire from the market, or transfer people from somewhere else in the world into Standard Chartered in Malaysia. After speaking to some of my seniors, I decided, no, we will take a chance on the next layer of people. We will take a chance on people who have been in the bank, are ready to move, and maybe a year or two early. But if you take a bet on them, the bet will pay off, only because they have got something that they are really longing for, and more importantly, they want it. And therefore, there's a great chance that we will win, although this is not the most seasoned team. very happy to say that we did that. Within a week of this bunch of people leaving us, the new team was on board. And that year we went on to deliver record profits. And it was only because, not because of the leader, but I think the team, A, took it as a challenge, B, were obsessed with wanting to prove themselves. And that is really my point. I give huge marks for will over skill. A similar story in my current life in Federal Bank. Being somebody who is not from here, almost instantly people are saying, so how many people are you getting from outside? So are you going to hire people from outside? I'm very proud to say, Federal Bank is building its shop from within. Every one of my senior executives, barring one or two specialists who have come in, are from within. And they've moved and doing a remarkable job. In the coming years, we will build this to that sort of dream castle that we are all dreaming for from within. And I truly believe it's about the desire more than anything else, which is really the passion, which is really an outcome of the choices we make. We put our heart for it. I don't know if any force can stop anybody. And that's the point I was saying about how the universe conspires to help when you are obsessed about something. I'll now turn to my only one last theme around balance. I think good is the enemy of great. This is the first line of a book by Jim Collins. And I thought it's a fantastic description of how we all settle for, he's good, so it's good. But then that is the first step in not becoming great. And I think that'd be a useful insight you may want to consider. And therefore, the only way to predict the future is to create it. All my life, I've been inspired by this poem. If you've all read this, it's by Rudyard Kipling. It's a long poem, but I just picked 4 lines from the poem, and I'll just pick the ones that have inspired me personally. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. I think this says the character that, what probably leaders should have, because on any business day, it's not going to be your way all the time. There are going to be so many challenges and so many obstacles, and sometimes the reset button goes right to back zero. Take India cricket team right now. Heroes to complete zeros. Wash out. 8 matches on a trot gone. But if they come back, suddenly we'll start celebrating. And there'll be a story again, how he, from the phoenix from the ashes, has risen again. But, just thought. So in closing, I'll say, it is my journey, my message. I don't claim to be that I'm doing it. It's my journey. Passion leads to a belief, which leads to about choices we make. We build something because we bring in balance. So this is really my message. And on that note, I'll only tell you the one line that's lived with me all through my life, which my mother taught me when I was very young. More things are wrought by prayer in this world than the world dreams of. Right? So on that count, thank you very, very much.